the online experience, here's a World Cup side. We did the World Cup this summer, the Football World Cup, soccer as the Americans call it. It was the biggest online event ever because people could watch all the games live over the internet. And we did it in 45 different countries, enormous amounts of traffic. And the cool thing is that this is better than television. So you have full HD streams, so you can watch them in 1080i on your 40-inch TV. But if you want to have the same thing on a small TV, we can do that too. Real-time stats, if you compare where online video was a few years ago, you couldn't do it in real time. It was always 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late. And if that's a sports event, that's quite annoying. So now we're down to pretty much the same delays that a TV broadcast would be. But you instantly have time shifting, so you can jump back and forth. Often you have different marks where there's a goal, where there was another event, where there's a red card, a yellow card. And you can very easily jump back and forth, which if you were at home in your classic broadcast TV, you couldn't do because you just see it live. You can switch between different games. During the quarterfinals, where you had two games happen at the same time, you can very, very quickly switch back and forth between the two games. You can then jump back and forth with time shifting, and you get the chat where you actually interface with other viewers, with typically some sort of broadcaster. So you start to have a much richer experience than you can on a classic TV. And it's a business now. It's always exciting to talk about this. I remember talking about this 4 years ago. And it didn't happen because there wasn't a business. But now online revenue has gotten up to being 2010, that's $2.5 billion of actual business in the US made with online video. So that starts to be a pretty real business. And those drivers, like you have probably heard of things like Hulu in the US, where you can watch every TV show online instantly, all done through the Akamai system. So we believe that all is driving a lot of usage online, but then how does that change the internet? So today, about 700 million users watching typically short clips, on average very short, at relatively low bit rate. So it's 2.4 terabits per second, which is a lot of traffic. It's more than like the phone traffic that NTT carries, but it's not that much. But if you think that out, and that could be 3 years, 5 years, the number of users is going to go way up. China, India, South America, Indonesia, all of these are very fast growing. 2 hours of video daily, when marketing came and said that's the number we should use from their field research, I said, where did you get that number from? Like, who watches 2 hours of television? And the stats were amazing. In the US, the average person watches 6 hours of television per day. In Europe, the number is lower, but it's still something like 4 hours on average. So by saying 2 hours, we're just saying a fraction of the typical TV use will move online. They'll still do the majority of their consumptions on the classic TV. And they want to see it in high def. They want to do it on a big screen. And it will change dramatically the amount of traffic, orders and orders of magnitude. And that's what everyone is afraid of. If you talk to NTT, they're afraid of it. AT&T is afraid of it. Because they say it doesn't work. Even Google has come out and said the internet doesn't work for video. And they're right and they're wrong. So if you think of a classic setup, data centers connected to what's called tier 1 networks, connected to local ISPs that then go into the homes, they create a very funny shape for where bandwidth is. In your home, you probably have some very high bitrate router. There's a lot of capacity here. There's also a lot of capacity in the data centers. But here, where networks connect, very, very sparse bandwidth. So that's a huge bottleneck. And if you have the servers on this side, you can do low bitrate streams like the 300K YouTube type video, no problem. But if you try to deliver an HD experience, that doesn't work at all. What you have to do is you have to get the servers on the other side of that bottleneck. And that's what Akamai has. We're the only one that has a type of platform. There's plenty of capacity available here. And so we're investing very, very heavily on being fast enough. And that's where another rule as a startup, you have to be fast. You have to be there early enough. And so we're sprinting as fast as we can of making this future of the internet TV possible. It comes as a whole ecosystem. You need to now replace all those rating companies of who watches how much, help people understand their audience, people understand how much advertising they can show, how they can sell it. So it's a whole analytics suite we had to build. And we're preparing ourselves for 100 terabits, which is 50 times, it's 20 times what we're doing now. So it's an order of magnitude more, and that's still a factor of 10 less what our estimates were on how much traffic there could easily be. And with that, as the 4 major areas that my team is working on, I want to thank you for your attention. And hope if you have any questions, I'm sure there will be time at the reception for those. Thank you very much.